So I asked you guys for questions, and boy, did you deliver. I narrowed it down to ones I think that everybody would be interested in, maybe, so I'm not gonna waste any time. Let's jump right in. So most artists, I think, say that they were drawing in diapers. I don't know, not me. I wasn't like a drawing or painting type of kid. I was really creative though. Like I liked crafty things. I like to make things. Like I remember in middle school I would make like all those friendship bracelets. I was the kid that brought like my box of embroidered string and was like, here, pick out your colors. It's 25 cents a color. I'll make you a friendship bracelet. I'll have it tomorrow. It's 50 cents or whatever. Or I would like go take all my subscriptions to all the teen magazines that I was subscribed to, and then I would like cut them all up and make my own magazine, and then I would like go door to door and try to sell my magazine. So it was more like an entrepreneur kind of crafty kid. I wasn't like the kid that was playing with everybody, but I was like about my business, okay? Like, give me my dollar because I'm serious. And then I did nails for like 10 years. So that was a form of painting because I did a lot of custom work on nails, real tiny little artwork. And that was when I probably first started painting, I guess. I knew I was really good at it, but that was kind of my intro to painting. And then I got into raising kids. So it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years ago where I started drawing and painting on canvas. And I realized I like to do it and it's fun. And little by little, I got better and better, and I just started realizing what I could do, and I knew I was interested in it, and I just took it further. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago I got on social media with it. So it was not like a clear, decisive point. I went to the Art Institute, but it wasn't for art. I took some art classes that were awesome, but I actually went to the Art Institute for residential design, which was drawing like home blueprints by hand, which they don't really do, but that's what I went there for. So I did take a few classes, but everybody probably says this, but the hardest piece is the one I'm working on now. But I can tell you why, because up until now I've painted realism. I've painted realism in like full, like from one end to the other, I would paint and be done with realism in one layer, if that makes any sense. And with this painting, I've had to learn underpainting and in painting in layers. So even though I am completing in sections, these sections are taking me 3 or 4 layers, if that makes any sense. So the time that it's taking me, I think I'm 3 months into this, is way harder and way more frustrating than everything else. Everything else was a lot more I'm satisfying. Like I sit down and I leave and it's done. And now I have to leave the canvas at the end of the night and there's 1 or 2 layers and it's just not, it's like, oh, I hate it. And it's not until the 3rd or 4th layer that I'm loving it. So this is definitely by far the hardest piece. I was attempting to go into this to try hyperrealism and I gave up like right when I started the eye, I think it was. So I was like, forget it. We're just gonna go with realism. Forget hyper because that's just, I can't, I'm not ready. So do artists have one muse like their entire life? I don't know how that works. I'm the worst person to ask questions about things like this because I feel like I'm not ordinary. Like I don't care about brushes, I don't care about paint, I just work with whatever I have. But as far as muse, I would say whatever feeling I'm trying to convey or get across, then I'm gonna find a muse to convey that for me. So that takes on all shapes and forms, all races, all genders. I mean, it changes depending on what my idea is. There's not one consistently, and I'm not sure if that's how most people work or not, but that's just not how I've ever worked. So. It's hard to say what inspired me to get into art because, like I said, it was very gradual for me, my coming into art. So I knew that I always loved painting and crafts, and just the more that I tried and the more that I wanted to do something and realized that I could do it just by trying and figuring it out. And if I couldn't figure it out, I'd go on YouTube and learn, and just it was coming out the way I had thought. The better that I got and the more that I realized what I could do, it's just that kept inspiring to go move on to the next point. Oh my God, I can do that. I shocked myself. Let me see how much further I can go. And I'm still doing this, and still that to this day I still do it. So there wasn't one point of where I got inspired. It was more so like, let me see. Oh, wow, I can do that? Okay, well, let me try something else. And I just keep trying, just trying anything, learning anything I can and get my hands on. When I'm approaching a new idea, the first question I usually have, the first kind of guide that guides me through the entire process is, what are you trying to get across? And for me, it's always a feeling. So what feeling do you need to stay true to through this whole process? So when I'm starting a painting, I'm looking for a model or muse to exactly hit that feeling without words in that portrait, in her look, in her facial expression. So as soon as I take 2 or 3 days to find it, but when I find it, I know, I'm like, that's it. And then I start manipulating it. But my number one goal is to convey an emotion. Like I said, it's always been difficult for me to, I'm very logical thinking. I'm not so much into my emotions. So my painting is where I get to kind of tap into those emotions. Since I feel like I'm not as good at saying it, I'm good at finding it and showing you. I feel like you're assuming in that question that if you're rich, you can't inspire, like you're greedy when you get the money. And for me, I don't see it that way. So number one, I'll answer your question. I want to be rich. Give me the money, because I know what I would do with the money. Like, I would be very responsible, and I would definitely, number one, use it to try to reach out and inspire. My biggest cause, the thing that I want to do, is reach out to those that don't know how to speak up for themselves, might be shy, and naturally maybe introverted like I was, and help them find their voice, help them speak up, speak for themselves, get their point across, and not be taken advantage of. So that is my number one goal in life. And I feel like you can do that, or I could do it with the money better than without it. So yeah, definitely, give me the money, rich. As far as time not allowing me to learn anything, I've never use time as an excuse. Like, there's enough hours in the day to do whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to do what do you want to get done in a day, and then make sure you plan your day. I plan my day the night before already out. So I'm going to fit everything I need to do in that day, and if that means I have to get up at 4:30 or 5:30, then that's what I have to do. There's no like, oh, I don't have enough time. It's make time. So number one, I want to address that, because I don't think time is ever an excuse. You can do what you want to do. As far as another medium of art, there definitely is. I actually back here have bought, or if you saw my studio tour, I bought watercolor, because my favorite style is illustrative watercolor, kind of like storybook illustrations. It's my favorite style. It's like all I watch on YouTube, so I would love to learn it. I've bought everything to do it. I'm very intimidated by it, just because I'm so controlled and watercolor isn't. So that's probably why I'm drawn to it. I'm usually drawn to challenges. I love challenging myself. So yeah, illustrative watercolor. I'm not sure what you mean by freestyle. I don't do very much freestyle. Everything, like I said, is very planned and thought out. So maybe you mean portraits and the kind of color geometric styles I do. And if you follow my work, you know everything I do usually puts those two together. So I love them together. That's my favorite thing to do. Probably a black and white portrait with the color pop art or geometric shapes cutting into that. So it's just that's always been my favorite. Okay, so when I read this question, it got me into like a conversation at home. I think my whole family started discussing it, and I think we even started discussing it on on the Facebook thread. So I think definitely yes. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody that's blind, so it's hard. I can't ask, or I don't know. So maybe somebody can answer this definitely. But I think definitely yes. Like, just because you've never seen doesn't mean that you can't envision. Maybe you dream in sound. If that's all you know, maybe even. I think I've heard somewhere that blind people can actually still see colors. I'm not sure how they would describe them, but definitely yes. And I'm gonna go with maybe in sound or feelings. I don't know. This is interesting, but I think it's a definite yes. Believe it or not, I haven't been to an art museum. I would love to go. I'm in Phoenix. I'm not even sure if there's any here. But when I graduated from the Art Institute, the senior trip was to the Louvre in France, but like I had bills to pay, so I didn't go to that. I was like, sorry guys, have fun. I got like kids and stuff. But so I never got to go to that. That would have been crazy to go, right? But if I actually could pick which one to go to like now, it's actually in my birth city, my hometown of Tampa, Florida. There is everybody knows the Dali Museum there. I think it's in Clearwater near the beach. But if I could go to any now, I'd actually want to go to that one first because I just think it would be super interesting. It's Dali, like mind-bending, right? So everybody says be you. Find out who you are, just be natural. But if you were to tell me that at 16, 17, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, into my 20s, I wouldn't have known what that is. Jeez, I'm just now finding myself. So it's very hard to tell a younger person, just be you, be natural, because that's opposite of that age. You're trying to figure out who you are. It doesn't make sense to them. So I wouldn't say be you, be who you are. I would be a lot more specific because that's what I needed. I would say, don't overthink and try to find yourself and get overwhelmed because then you'll start to get disappointed and discouraged and you won't. And you'll start to think everybody's, finding themselves and you aren't. What I would say is, if you want to, in whatever art, it doesn't even matter if you're a painter or whatever, you could be a singer, you could be whatever you like to do. What I would say is, how are you feeling that day? What point do you want to get across today? What is your main concern now? Like, don't think too general and too big. Let's just break it down into steps as far as what's your idea today? How do you feel today? What is the point you want to get across? And run with that idea. That's the best advice I can give because those baby steps, every time you jump from one idea to the next of how you feel, you'll see that it might be all over the place at first, but they will start to taper off the older you get and you will start to find your way. But don't concentrate on the end trying to, I need to figure out who I am at 18, 19. Let me tell you, there's people that are 60 that still haven't. There's people who never figure out who they are. So that's such a hard thing to do. Don't get bogged down by it. Just go with how you're feeling and trying to get that point across today. Okay, so my color for a long time, or my favorite color forever has been orange, and orange first and yellow second. Like I love the colors of the sun, citrusy type, bright, positive colors. Those are my favorite colors. But I would say to paint with, they're probably the worst because of the color payoff. So my favorite colors to paint with are probably any spectrum of blue, light blue all the way to maybe like cerulean, like mid blue. Like blues are just my favorite. The feeling they give, the payoff, I think they're so pretty on canvas. The person that has been with me the longest, my husband, we've been together 21 years now, since high school. I have to say he's the most influential because he's been through every level, every step, every change that I've had since I was 17. I mean, God, how many times have you changed and tried to figure out who you were? And he's always been there kind of like one step ahead leading me to make me feel safe to come to the next level, the next step, kind of pulling me to grow, because I'm always scared of change. So he's always been the one to influence me to, or support me to try something. Just do it. Just go. Very supportive. Very, very much influential in pushing me to be better. And a lot of times I'll rely on, until I develop my own confidence and motivation and willpower, I relied on him earlier because he was so sure about things, and I would just rely on his faith and say, okay, well, if you say so, let's do it. And then I would kind of develop, he's probably the most responsible for me developing my self-confidence, because I don't think I had any when I met him. What do you mean, why do people pay for Starbucks? Like, what do you have against us? It's the best coffee there is. Like, you can't come up on here talking about Starbucks, because I'm gonna defend it. I pay for Starbucks. I do. You got a problem with it? Catch me outside. How about that?
Of Starbucks.
Of Starbucks. I don't know what's something I haven't painted, because when an idea hits me, then I'm gonna find it. So if anything, it's probably an emotion. There's a ton of emotions I want to get to. So, but I'm working on it. If I can get past this one. Okay, I'm pretty into astronomy, but I had to Google Dyson sphere because I'm like, what is this? And it says that it's a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star and captures a large percentage of its power output. I don't know when we're gonna get one of those. Ask your local power company. Okay, like I work and I'll be very productive for like a week, and then I'll have like 2 weeks that I'm not productive. And what I usually do is I move on to something else I like. It's like I'm really into astronomy. I'm really into the universe or math. Like I'll go and just transition into doing something else or learning something else. So that's usually what I do. I don't try to force being creative because it would suck. So that's normally what happens. But like a great example is a couple days ago, I wanted to just go try something in Photoshop. So I was like, hey, I told my husband, let's go to the railroad tracks and take a picture and let's try something. I want to come back and work in Photoshop. So I went there, we went there and we took some pictures. I came back and everything that I tried just wasn't what I had imagined. So I kept getting discouraged and I was like, oh my God, why can't I get this? So I was already starting to get disappointed there because I had wasted like a whole day and I hate wasting time. So I get on YouTube, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let this day go by. I'm gonna get on YouTube and I'm gonna start like forcing it, right? So I start forcing and I start finding these YouTube videos that were, super informative, but like it's a 12 or 13-year-old teaching you how to do something, and they're like in their bedroom with their mom calling them for dinner. So everybody's been there where you're learning, but you're just like, you don't want to learn from this person. You're rolling your eyes, but you're listening. And I just started to get so much more discouraged from watching YouTube that day because everything I tried I couldn't do. And then the 13-year-old that their mom was calling them for dinner on YouTube was trying to show me something. I'm like, you know what? Why am I even trying? What am I doing with my life? And I just like go into the room with my husband and it was so discouraged that, and I rarely cry. I just like laid down and put my head in a pillow and just started crying. And I was like, I suck at everything. I cannot do this. Like, why am I even trying? Everything I do and I see. And then you know how you start to compare yourself? The worst thing I know, like you shouldn't do it, but some days it gets to you. And that's how it was a couple days ago. So the next morning, my husband wakes up and I'm still discouraged. I'm mad. But I'm at my computer, like still trying to force it in the morning. And he's like, okay, get off your computer, get dressed, and we're going to go somewhere. And I'm like reluctantly like, whatever. But I follow his lead, right? Because I'm like, he sounds confident. Okay, sure. He's like, we're going to go get breakfast. I'm going to take you somewhere. So I was like, okay, I get ready and we go. We have breakfast and it's okay, but I'm bummed. I'm like, I'm not fun to hang out with. So then we drive all the way to Tempe and we go to the Tempe camera store. And I'm like, all right, and I'm starting to look around, and then the ideas start to spark. So I get new lighting, I get a new tripod, and I get new toys to play with, and it just totally transformed my thinking into bummed out to I'm excited again. So I'm not saying go out and buy something every time you're, discouraged, but it definitely helps to get out of the house and get out of that mindset and funk, and then come back with new eyes and new vision. So it definitely helped me out a lot. Okay, pricing commissions, I kind of have come down to what works for me. I think works for me. Because I price commissions differently than I do like my original artwork. Because like, what are you gonna, I just do. So my base price is $50 a square foot. That's kind of where I start from, depending on the size that they want. And then I charge, depending on what style, realism or what style they want and how hard and difficult that is, I charge on average $20 an hour on top of that. So I kind of give them an estimate on $50 a square foot on the canvas, and then additionally $20 an hour on what I think it would take me to do it. So that's how I price my commissions. But like I said, these are way different. They take me a lot more time. I just price them differently. It's kind of more so what I'm okay letting it go at, so that I can like sleep at night and not miss it. My favorite art medium is probably acrylic, because that's what I use the most. And then my weakest would be what I probably haven't tried yet. So watercolor, because of the lack of control. I haven't tried it yet, but I have, like, if anybody knows about me knows that like I hate being weak at something. So as soon as I want to do something and I know I'm not good at it, I tend to obsess and go in until I master it. I don't know, that's just the way my mind works. Like, I just like to tackle things that are difficult. No, I don't like to draw animals. I like to stick to facial expressions and human faces. That's my favorite. I just am not into painting animals. I probably draw or paint maybe, I mean, it depends. If I'm gonna say on average, maybe 3 times a week, but really it's like a full week and then not for 2. It's more so get a creative spurt and run with it, and then you go through, your drought or your ups and downs because you put so much into a week that you're tired and you need a break. So it's more like that. But if you were to say average, maybe 3 times a week, I don't know. And on days when I don't feel like painting, I won't paint. I will not force it. Like, there's days I'll walk past this canvas and roll my eyes at it. I don't care. I wonder why I'm painting at all. I just, like, what's the point? I go through that a lot. Like, when I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it, and when I'm not, I'm not. So I will turn around and I usually go do something else. So I like to learn every single day. I like to learn something new. Right now I'm taking up pre-calculus, so I do that a portion of my day. I'll read. I will listen to audiobooks. I will write, like sketch in my journal, things like that, but or play in Photoshop and with pictures and practice my skills there. So maybe other forms of creativity, but if I'm not feeling like painting, I will pass my paintbrush so quick, I don't care. The first thing I painted, I was so excited about was Mrs. Independent, and I'll drop a picture here. Actually, I'll drop some progress pictures too, so you can see the process, because it was the first time I attempted realism, and I didn't know I could do it. I just knew, let me try to start with black and white because it was the easiest, and let me find something that I didn't have to do a face. So she has a mask on. And I was like, let me just focus on smooth, like the body. Like, let me just start there. And that's where that idea came from, honestly. So I had no idea I could, so I started like on her butt. Like, I didn't even start like on any hard parts. I was like, let me go with a nice round smooth surface. So as soon as I did like the first, I'll show you the picture, the first like butt cheek and I put like a white highlight on it. I was so stoked about it. Like, I think I posted just her butt on every social media platform. I was like, look at this. Because it was the first time I did realism and it looked real. Like, I was like, what? Like, I was shocking myself as I went. I was like, I think I could do this. I'll try it. Oh my God, I really can. And the further I went, the more I was like shocked. And then when I was done with that painting, I remember thinking, any boundary I had ever set on myself was like gone. Like, I automatically unlocked so many things that I could do, wanted to do, and I like just from then on I tackled. You could see I was pushing workout immediately after that, and I was just like, all my limitations were gone. I could do whatever idea I had. So what I mean by all this is, don't ever say you can't do something. Try it. Like, you do not know. I genuinely didn't know I could do realism until I tried it and shocked myself. Try it. Just try it. If anything, I'm not saying realism, but whatever it is that you want to do, sit down, take the time, and like work it out, because you could just surprise yourself, and then you could open up this world that you never knew was there. Like, please try. Okay, this is my favorite question. I'm so prepared for this, and there's no way that I could pick 5. So I think I have more than 10. I don't know. But I didn't want to leave anything out because I would have been like, oh, I forgot this one. So I hope I got my top favorites. I think I did. Yeah, I definitely have over 10. So I am not a person that rewatches movies. Like, if I see it, I've seen it. But if I love a movie, I'll watch it to death. Like, I'll watch it again and again till the day I die. Like, so these are movies that I've watched more than once, more than twice. I love them. Okay. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go way back to when I was like a kid, and this movie had me in love. So Grease. I mean, I really don't have to say much. It's Grease. Who doesn't know every word of that movie? I always loved Sandy, but I knew my heart was with Rizzo. Like, we know. Okay. I played the violin for 7 years, so I was obsessed with this movie, Amadeus, for those 7 years. I don't know. I just loved it. I love that he wrote his own Requiem. It was just, I love that who I thought Mozart was, he was totally different in this crazy wild character. I love that about it. Full Metal Jacket. I probably watched this movie way too early, or way earlier than I should have. I probably watched this movie way earlier than I should have. It probably wasn't age appropriate when I saw it. So it was eye-opening, but a lot of that movie just rang true to me. Like, for some reason, I knew that's how the world was, and there was no sugarcoating it in that movie, and I think that's what drew me to it. I was like, yes, I like that. That's the truth. I knew it, and I don't care if I was like 8 years old watching it. I knew it. Okay, this has got to be like in my top 3. When I saw the movie The Professional, like, I immediately fell in love with that little girl. Like, I felt like I wanted to be her. I was her. Even though I was this little nerdy kid in my room, like, I felt like I could be her. So like, every time I went to an arcade, I would go straight to the shooting games, and I was like always really good at them. And I just thought that translated into me being a good sniper. I was like, I could definitely be a sniper if I tried. Something is wrong with me. Like, I think I could be like a genius master at anything I touch, just because I have that much dedication and willpower to learn it. But like, I really believed I could have been a sniper as a kid. And when I saw that movie, that just fueled the fire even more. I was like, yes, like, that's me. Why couldn't that be me? Okay, that's like in my top 3. Okay, the next 2 kind of go together, Good Will Hunting and Rain Man. I mean, come on, for the same reasons I love this. But Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting, it was just a beautiful performance. It was just a side of him I hadn't seen, and it was perfectly like acted. Okay. The Matrix, like I really don't even have to get into that movie. At the time it came out, it was just like mind blowing. So I was really into that kind of stuff, like altered realities. I like love that type of those stories. The next two kind of go together, and these are some of my recent favorites. Inception and Interstellar. So like jumping into people's minds and planting dreams, and Interstellar with the fourth dimension of time and finding out that how it worked, and he was actually in it, and it wasn't cheesy or corny. It was actually like beautifully written, and the way that it looked, it was just like mind blowing. So yeah, Interstellar might be up there with The Professional for me. Wait, but this is probably in the top 3 too. Yeah, like if I had to pick top 3, it'd be like The Professional, Interstellar, and this one, Kill Bill. The 3 Kill Bills, when they came out, not only am I a huge Quentin Tarantino fan of anything he does, but the Kill Bills, because it had a female lead and she was out for revenge, and the story was so cool. And like, I don't know how many times I did the 5-finger death technique on my husband. I was like, yes. I was like, I need to learn these things. That's up in the top 3 for me. I love Uma Thurman. Okay, so now I'm going to get into 2 comedies because I love to laugh. So number 1, The 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell. I think he's hilarious in that movie. He is like one of my top favorite comedians. And when he was drunk in the bar, that scene, I can't even, that was just the funniest thing to me ever. And then my all-time favorite comedian, Zach Galifianakis, in The Hangovers, all of them. And then also Mike Tyson was in The Hangover. Like, I love Mike Tyson. But Zach Galifianakis in The Hangovers, like, he was genius level funny to me. Like, he's so funny. But everybody in that movie was hilarious. They're well written. I laughed from start to finish. Those are the best movies ever. Okay, and then I've got a new one that I recently watched 3 times back to back because it was like a 2-hour and 15-minute movie. If you haven't seen Molly's Game, like, you need to go watch it, right? Like, wait till you're done watching my video and then go watch it. It's so well written, and it's based on a true story, and it's fast paced, and it just throws information at you. And you need to watch it. It's awesome. Her story, she's a genius. I love it. So easy. If I wish I could travel to the past. I wish, and I would use my ticket to go one place, one time, easily. And it wouldn't be to meet anybody famous. I don't care. I would go back to tell my grandmother how much she meant to me, how much I loved her, and how much she affected every single thing I did in my life. Being a mother, an artist, a person, being bold, confident. I would go back and let her know, because she passed away just after I was a teenager, in my early 20s. And I never got a chance to tell her as an adult, like, the effect she had on me. And I wish she knew. I know she knows, but I wish I could just tell her face to face as an adult, with adult words, not just I love you. I want to tell her in detail. And I know she hears me. I love you, Nana. I thought this was an easy question, but it's not. This is difficult. Hot dogs or corn dogs? This is hard. Okay, if you're at a baseball game, if you're at the movies, it's a hot dog. But if you're at the fair, it's definitely a corn dog. Like, which one is better? I have no clue. I can't give you an answer. But I have to, because I take this seriously. So I'm going to go with, this is hard. I'm going to have to go with hot dog, because I'm a very traditional person. But I have my corn dog days. But here's a better question. If you were on death row, what would be your last meal? I have asked this question to lots of people. I think it's a great question. And for me, if I'm ever on death row, I don't think that could happen, because I'm too good. I'd get away with it, first of all. And but I want, like, give me a big, fat ribeye and a baked potato and some broccoli and a Coca-Cola and a piece of pecan pie. And yes, it's pecan. Don't fight me on this. I'm from the South, and we win because we grow pecans. So I hope I answered all these questions okay. I was honest. Thank you guys for your questions. I really appreciate you taking the time to even ask me anything, even if it's just hot dogs or corn dogs. I like those kinds of questions, so I appreciate you guys. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go get some Starbucks. All right, guys. See you later, guys. Bye, guys. Bye, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Stop being greedy with your clicks.